All right, welcome back to Trainwreck Games. This is Arthur, and it's been a little while. I think my last stuff was Husky 8 going up in calendar year 2025. But I think the thing I did before that was the one turn SES North Africa. It was like 2023, so that was 2 years. 2025, now it's 2026, so it's only 1 year. So if you kind of do the math on it, it's a little bit on fire with my posting here, so you're welcome. What we're taking a look at now is The Dark Summer by designer Ted Racier. Looks like it came out in 2021. This is the Normandy 44 invasion as done through the sort of, I don't know what the system is called. It got started in the Dark Valley. Man, this one's got some heft from like 2018, probably a little earlier. But there's a North Africa one. I've heard that's not the strongest of the three, so I held off for now. I have actually the Zachbond North Africa 41, and I think the 1940 expansion's on its way. I heard that one's really good. The only game like this I've played, speaking of Zachbond, is Normandy 44 from the Zachbond series, and I remember thinking like, yeah, this is good. This is, like it didn't blow me away. It didn't disappoint. It was just like, yeah, this was perfectly fine. I'm hoping this is a little more, I don't know what, a little more, I don't want to say interesting, but like, it's got like, chit pull mechanics. It's got like a lot of randomization. You got, strong points where you don't know the values on. You got units where you don't know the values on. So I'm hoping like with that kind of randomization stuff, it makes it a little more like, oh, hey, I didn't realize that was going to happen. And I don't know. I don't mean this like in a too strong a way, but a little less of just a rote exercise of like slamming units into each other. I don't know if that makes any sense, but let's see. The rules come in at honestly a pretty reasonable 24 pages, but yeah, if you've played any war games of this style, Hex Encounter, you're basically 90% there. You got units with like attack movement. If it's got three, it's like attack, defense, movement. That's a lot of what's going on. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to checking this out. Everything is resolved with a, let's see if I can pull up. Everything's resolved with a D6. So we got my D6s here. I used to have like a special camera but it was so dumb because like I would have the special camera set up and the thing would be like 2 inches off the board. It'd be like right here. So it seemed dumb to have like a whole camera with it. So I'm just going to, pull this over and roll. Keep it simple. Otherwise, for people jumping into this, I just want to say, like, I think I talked to one of my earlier, maybe Husky 8, it came up. I think rulebooks should be written for the idiot setting it up for the first time. And there's just one thing I wanted to point out in the rulebook. One thing I got tripped up on was the setup of the Ost units. What I did was, if you look in the upper left corner, you see, it might be hard to see, but there's little numbers there, or there's little. Looking at these stacks, I cannot. No bad things can possibly happen from stacks this tall. But they've got the turn entry number in the upper left. Here they've got the hex start in the upper left. Everything's very easy to set up. On the board, the stronghold, you can see the little symbol there. The Ost units have the little symbol there as well. But I did the regular units first and ended up covering the Ost ×2 right here. The rulebook it covers the ground. Like it covers the ground. It says terrain key on the map shows symbols used to designate setup hexes for strong points and Ost battalions randomly deployed in their hexes containing their setup and in the Cherbourg box. So it's specifically saying in the Cherbourg box. But for the idiot setting up for the first time, and even though I have some experience with war games, I'm still the idiot setting up for the first time. I think I would have been a little more specific. These units are randomly deployed, so they're lumping the two together, strong points and Ost battalions. I would have said the strong points are randomly deployed in their hexes with a strong point symbol. The Ost battalions are also randomly distributed in the hexes with their Ost symbol, and two in the share book. I would have been more specific, just to, like, again, because I was like, because I was flipping through the rules, and there's like another Ost section in the back, and I was like, okay, it doesn't say what to do there, and then it's just I might have like marked it with a 3.2. I would have done something just to be like, hey, just call this out, like, this is what you do for these specific units. And just a reminder, there's two in the Cherbourg box for the Ost. Now, I went on BGG's like, where the hell these other two go? I wasn't the only one who had this problem. There are dozens of us, so there, for the legion of idiots, we stand together. But it was something that took me a little while to figure out. And again, I'm in favor of. I know it adds words to the rule book, but I think in certain circumstances, specifically setup, I think setup in particular, you have to make sure you idiot proof it as much as possible, because I will test the edges with my idiocy every single time. So anyway, let's get this started. I'm really out of practice. I'm really out of practice with, recording this kind of stuff. I'm really out of practice with playing war games. It's been a while. I'm hoping I'm going to have a little bit more luck going forward. I finally have a space that is more ideal than what I had. Before, I had a spot that was mine, but it was so constricted in terms of the height of the ceiling, and it was really that I couldn't do what I really needed to do to attempt this the way I wanted to do it. So now I do. And, it's going to be some learning. Like, usually I like to stand up while I'm doing this. Helps me get sort of over the board a little more. But now I'm realizing, the table's a little low to do that. So I might have to get some like leg risers to get because now I can jack the table up like 8 inches and still have the ceiling clearance. I wasn't able to do that before. So anyway, none of that matters. What we're going to do is we're going to get this started. There's a lot of randomization, a lot of chit pull. Weather for the first turn is showers. It's always showers. Then after that, you start pulling one at a time. You can only use each of these chits once. And they give you something in the rules to make it a little more realistic, historical. As far as the history goes, I've read a couple books. I've seen the movie, watched the HBO series. So I'm far from an expert. I know a little bit, but I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, and this is, I'm 3 days behind the actual. Like, I won't know any of that. I'm just going to play this like a game. So what you do is, first step is the turn 1 has waves. So amphibious assault rounds. We got an allied first wave. We got an allied second wave. Okay, so the allied player places his first wave chit in the first wave on the action round to signify the first wave round. So we've got first wave, second wave over here. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put this on the action round track. Like, I seriously cannot picture anything bad happening with these massive stupid stacks that I put there on the reinforcements. I feel like this is going to go perfectly, and those will definitely not get knocked over within 10 minutes. So to test that theory, I'm just going to start touching them. Just constantly touch them. Okay, like I'm picking out a scab. So we've got the first wave. That's action round, track 1. So what you do is you sort of spell out what the turn does. Like, because like you got like different action chits that you're going to pull randomly. You got that for the Americans and the French. You got the Germans. But the Germans also get these reaction ones that aren't random. They can say like, hey, no, I'm going to throw down now that I've seen you do that. They're a little more restricted, but so that's why if you're saying like, oh, the Germans don't worry. The assholes we'll get enough turns. And then, of course, the British, Canadians, they get a couple there. So, again, I can't picture anything bad happening as I reach across those massive stacks to grab my random chit bowls as I put them over here. In the past, I don't know if I said this already. In the past, I used to have like a little camera for the dice, but it was dumb because the dice would be literally like an inch and a half off the main camera. So I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to keep it here, D6. Again, I apologize if I just said that. I had to start the recording over because of a technical hiccup. But there we go. Okay, so the first wave is so we put the thing on the chit on the track. Hold on a second. Okay. Again, sort of doing this for the first time. I have a thing that like puts chapter markers in, and I just heard it do a beep, but it doesn't seem to get picked up on the mic. So and it didn't seem to go into the recording. That's why I did it twice, and I said, hold on. Okay. Let's see. First wave units attack their assigned beach hex as indicated on the map by means of a chevron on the intervening hex side. So if you look at if you look here, there's a little chevron there. There's a video game board game critic named Tom Chick, and he runs his own website, Quarter to Three. And one of the things he said in a recent post, and I think it was regarding a recent game release, Dragon's Down, which is sort of like trying to bring Magic Realm into the present day, like it's sort of a revision of Magic Realm to sort of modernize it, which appeals. I have it on my shelf over there. I've gotten rid of a lot of my games, but that one, Magic Realm has always sort of intrigued me. And one thing he pointed out is that, like, he doesn't like games where the pieces cover up vital information. And I got to tell you, there is no worse offender than war games. Sometimes, and I get it, like, but it's always a thing where I feel like every map needs to be twice as big because so much information. And then you end up like spending a lot of time futzing, like, okay, what's underneath there? Where are the chevrons? Yeah, it was something that I think came up when I was playing the SCS North Africa, because there it's like the pieces barely fit in their hexes. And again, I get there's an economical reason to do it, but does not make it easy for old men to play games. Okay, so we've got that. The U.S. Ranger Battalion participates in both this round and the second wave round, even though Point to Hawk is not a beach. So, I'm trying to find out. Point to Hawk is going to be somewhere over here, I guess. You know what? Oh, duh. Right. I'm looking at it. It's not. It's right there. It's right there. Okay. So that's where Point to Hawk. So it's sort of doing it like a beach landing, even though it's not really a beach. Okay. So, all right. No other combats are allowed. No combat support markers are available. Each combat must fully be resolved before proceeding to the next one. Units that eliminate the strong point opposing their landing advance after combat into the beach hex. Advance after combat is standard, like, just advance 1. Maybe certain units can advance 2. But yeah, it's pretty standard. Okay. So then after the first round, the Germans get a reaction. Now, the German reactions, basically, they can pick, I think, like one stack. I think it's something like that. And then they can move them. If that stack is either a certain type of units, they can also do like an attack at half strength. But otherwise, it's mostly just being able to reposition one sort of stacking units. Cherbourg, you can see I was mentioning the Cherbourg box. I think that's up here. I don't know. I know it's a big port, and it was important, but they abstracted here a little bit so that they can focus mainly on the beaches and the area around them. So, Okay. So I think what you do is you just sort of go right down the line attacking. So I think you would start like trying to hit these beaches. I don't know if these units can participate. I think it's just these hitting the beach. So I think that's what we're gonna do. Okay. So let's get started. Let's start with this one. I'm gonna flip this one over. Got a 1-0, so not too strong. We got first wave, second wave, third wave. So we got 12 attack, 6 plus 6 against a 1. Fence. So that's going to be greater than 6 to 1. So let's roll a die. Throw this over here. So yeah, I've got casino balanced D6s, but I also got these, warning current events reference. We got these Jimothy ass D12 D6s that are a little, I don't know if they're perfectly balanced or not, but you're wondering what that's what it is. It's a D12 with 2 sets of D6s on it. Just makes for a better roll feel. Okay, so I rolled a 4. Defender eliminated. Okay. First beach is open. So now, because they won, let's see. Immediately advance some or all of these units into 1 additional hex, ignoring. Oh, wait. Units that eliminate the stronghold opposing their landing, advance after combat into the beach hex. So these guys are on. Okay. Now it says place an open beach marker in the beach hex. Note that since point to hawk is not a beach hex, if the ranger's victorious, no open beach marker. Okay. Okay, so here's the thing. These units now could advance an extra space, ignoring zones of control. Okay, so that's good to know. Okay. Let's get an open beach. I don't know where they are. Ba-dunk-a-dunk. Everything should be just right here. Open beach. Here we go. Got a whole stack of them. All right, so let's declare this beach open. You know what I should do? If you remember from earlier recordings, my tweezer work is terrible. But I think what I should mention is victory conditions. How do you win? The game ends immediately in a German victory if one of the following occurs. The German player captures, thus closing 3 or more beach hexes, 2 of which must be contiguous. So once the Allies get those beaches open, you really gotta lock it in. Make sure they stay open. If the German player controls Cherbourg at the end of turn 7, so we've got some time to try and dislodge those units. The German player controls Avranches at the end of any round after US has entered Brittany. Now, Brittany is another, down south that's, it's abstracted a little bit. There's rules for like when you enter Brittany and then leave Brittany, that unlocks certain potential. But there's victory points, I think, for getting units off the board and all. Well, anyway, scoring victory points. Yeah. So there are no. Let's see. The game ends immediately if in an allied victory if there are no supplied German units on the map at any point up to the end of turn 9. So that's sort of like just like, hey, you've cut off everybody, they'll surrender. Scoring victory points. There's a victory point table. Yeah, so it's right here. So, capture Cherbourg on turn 1 gives you 10 victory points. Like, that's crazy. Is that even possible? I mean, I guess it is possible, but like to get to Cherbourg, you need to get to these C hexes over here, and then you can move from there to Cherbourg. Captured on turn 2, it's 5, turn 3. So they're really looking for you to get it by turn 4, so. Oh yeah, each US division in the Brittany box. So if you leave some units there, you know, sort of tying one hand behind your back a little bit, you get victory points for that. You get victory points for getting units off the map. Anyway, it's, you know, whatever. But basically the idea is like, yeah, the Germans are trying to like shut down beaches, and just hang in there. Okay, anyway. So that's that. So where were we? We were doing first wave. Okay, so now that we've gotten onto the beach, do we want to advance further? We can't do another attack. So what we could do is we could like go here, we could go here, we could reinforce the airborne that are landing, in their efforts to do whatever. That could be useful just because in case the Germans kind of come again, I'm terrible at this kind of stuff. So, you know, like my strategy and tactics are going to be, you know, like, what is he doing? That's the train wreck guarantee. Stacking limits. I think you can have 3 units, but let me just double check. Stacking 4 combat units in a single hex, but no more than 1 division may be present per hex, with the following exceptions: paratrooper, glider units, they're treated as non-individual. So it is important, like, what group they're from. Apologies. Sometimes you're just gonna get the mic. Like I in the past, I tried to do this and that. I'm just gonna play the game, and you're gonna see how some of the sausage gets made. I moved the mic because I needed to lean in a little bit. So I think I'm gonna, let's see. There's their unit there. What does that say? 8-4. So let's move 1 into there. Let's keep 1 there just to hold that beach open. And we'll go from there. Okay, so that's the first beach. Second beach, we're going to go to Pont du Hoc. Got another 1-0. Whoops, 1-0. Okay, so looking at the thing, we've got a 3-1, right? 3-1 odds right there. Let's roll the die. 3 on the 3-1. DR. Okay, defender retreats as above, but I think there's something here. Strong points, we have to look up strong points because they might respond to a retreat differently. So let's double check that. Okay, so looking it up, it says here that, yeah, where'd I go? Strong points. They are required to ignore retreat, but not retreat asterisk. So we got a 3 on 3-1, so that's a retreat asterisk. So a retreat asterisk means they are eliminated. They advance. Now, this is not a beach, so we don't have to worry about it staying open. They can advance 1 more hex. Do I go towards Grand Camp Le Bain? Or do I start... Should I start making my way towards this flak unit? So I'm going to go 1 more onto this road. All right. Now, again, Omaha, you remember it's a little different. They get a +3 to their defense. So let's see what they are. Ooh. 2 strong point. So it's going to be a +5, a 5 total against a 6-8 and I think another 6-8. So it's going to be, again, 12-5, which is going to be, I think you round down in favor of the defense. So that's going to be a 2-1. So this is going to be a tough one. Let's see how the Allies do here on Omaha. Ooh, a 1. That was a 2-1. Attacker loses 1 step. Oh. Omaha is not open, gentlemen. Ooh, okay. Put those there. Interesting. Now, I think this is the other part of Omaha. So this is going to be an 8-8 and an 8-8. So that's going to be 16 versus... Oh, 6. All right. So that's going to be, man, bad draw for Dwight Eisenhower here. Okay, so we've got a 6 to a 16, which again is going to be 2-1. Is it? Let me just double check. Because 3-1 would be 18. So I feel like that's going to be a 2-1. So again, 2-1 odds. Let's see how the combat goes. Oh, okay. So they nail this one. And when I say nail, I mean they exchange. Okay. It would have been better to get a 5 because then these two would have been ignored, but this DR asterisk would have wiped out the strong point. This is going to be an exchange, so we're going to lose strong point. So the allies are going to... So in exchange, it says Germans eliminated, the U.S. lose an equal number of steps up to maximum of 7. So in my mind, the strong point is like 1 step. So I'm just going to lose a step, and we open up the beach. Okay, part of Omaha now open. Nice. Okay, so we've advanced there. Now they can advance 1 more space. Which direction do they go? They can, I guess, split up, but I think I want to keep these guys together. Do they go this way? Start. Oh, no, okay, so remember, U.S. zone, British zone. I was saying that certain things happen with the Brittany box. One of the things is once you have units, I think, enter the Brittany box and leave the Brittany box, or something like that, then the Americans can start crossing over these lines. So the way it works is like I could put the Americans right here, right on the border of this line. They can attack across the line 1 hex, but they can't start moving across it as far as I know. They can only launch attacks like that. Yeah. So maybe what I'll do is I'll have them focus. Yeah, maybe they make their way down a little bit. Again, no idea what I'm doing. Okay, so part of Omaha is open. Part of it's still locked in. All right. Here we go. Now we're going to get to the British beaches. Let's see how they do. Got a 2 against a 6 and a 6. So a 12-2 is going to be 6-1. Hopefully Monty gets the job done with a 3 and a 6-1. Defender eliminated. Nice. Somewhere the ghost of Patton is annoyed. Okay, so we get the beach open. Let's advance 1 more hex. All right. Second beach. What do we got? A 1. Okay, so this one's sort of weakened. Not the strongest point, so it's again 6-1. 5. Perfect. Eliminated. I think I don't know how much it matters. I mean, I know the reality does. So there's the beach open actually is color coordinated, which I just realized. So there's British and American. And again, it does not matter, but I'm just going to try and do it correctly just to say that I did something right. That's not a beach, so it doesn't need the beach open. Beach open. Okay, that's green, beige, beige. All right, let's see what's going on here. Oof. 3. One of the things, I don't know if, again, I had to restart the recording. I've played Normandy 44, but I've also played like Liberty Roads, the Mighty Endeavor second edition. I think that's the SCS version. Um, Liberty Roads is kind of cool, even though it's a much different scale. Liberty Roads is kind of cool because it's one of the few games I've played, and not that I've played many, but where you could actually just invade anywhere. They were willing to let you experiment and try different parts of the channel, different kinds of crossings, focusing more on southern France. Because it has this scale, like it's Liberty Roads isn't a Normandy game; it's a June 1944 onward kind of game. So it's trying to do something different. It's not trying to get this in the weeds with the actual invasion. It's trying to say, like, okay, starting with the invasion, what happens for the rest of the war? And having that, that scale, which is basically all of the Western theater, yeah, lets you play around. And it does it in a very elegant way. The rules are not much longer than like a standard combat series basic rules with a couple of pages of specific things. Like, it's a really, really approachable game. Um, it's good. Yeah, I've played Liberty Roads. I have Victory Roads and I think Stalingrad Roads, but I've never tried them, and I really should, because Liberty Roads. I should try Liberty Roads again at some point. Um, but I there was something about the larger scale which I found interesting for a little bit, but I find a little closer to be more interesting, unless I'm doing the thing that got me into wargaming, unless I'm doing like grand strategic, like Axis Empires, World in Flames. Like, if I'm not doing like the whole big picture, I like getting a little bit closer. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, enough about that. Let's keep going down the beaches. All right, we already knew 3. I don't need to flip that over. But what do we have for the British? We've got a 6. We've got a 6. So we've got a 12-3, just 4-1. Roll to 4. That's not bad. Exchange. Okay. You know what? You can't expect to just walk onto the beaches. You gotta, it was paid a very heavy price to make this landing, and this game, you know, should reflect it. I shouldn't just walk in and go like, "Oh, that was easy." Um, okay. What do we got here? Keep going down the line. We got a 1. Now we got here some. These might be second wave units. Oh no, they're still first wave, so they're going to go there. So it's a 5 and a 6. So 11-1. Okay, yeah, 6-1. 6-1. DR asterisk. So the asterisk is important because the asterisk means the strong point is eliminated. Huh. No, it's got a chevron there. Okay, I was going to say, how do they do this? So let's get these units onto the beach, and then they'll go one further. Okay, and then here we go. 2, okay. But again, we're dealing with a 6 and probably another 5, so 11. So that's going to be a 5-1. Ooh, on the 2. Again, we get the asterisk. That's important. That means lose that. Get these units there. Let's get the beach open. And then we need to go one more. Go there. So, because we're going to try and, again, we got a little bit of a meetup with Airborne. We don't want to leave them hanging. I'm going to say things like that, like, that's my strategy and I'm smart. I don't know what I'm doing. So, yeah. Okay. So we've sort of gone down the first wave. And so now what we do is we add the second wave to the round track. Again, nothing bad is going to happen with these skyscraper-esque stacks of counters. So let's see what happens next. Where? Boom, boom, boom. First wave. Okay, so now the Germans get a reaction. So we're gonna put this reaction counter. Track. Let me move this off camera here a little bit, not be quite so disgusting. Okay. Let's see if that's any better. Okay, so we're gonna do a German reaction. All normal reaction round rules apply. So let's just figure that out real quick. Usually I would try and keep the rules off camera because it allows me to cut around it a little bit, but you're sort of, again, you're gonna get the how the sausage gets made stuff here. Action round types is page 13. Just, and again, I'll try and, as I sort of get my sea legs back and figure out the logistics of how to do this a little better, I will try and get better about this. Let's see. Like, I think little things, like I think the chair I'm sitting in might not be perfectly ideal for what I'm trying to do. German reaction rounds. Let's see. You get 4 reaction shits, depending on the weather. Reaction shits never go into an action cup. In a reaction round, the German player may activate either 1 stack or 1 formation. Units in the Cherbourg box may be activated by formation. They do not count as a stack. So again, formations are going to be the information on the side, which is extremely difficult for me to see. So I could choose, I assume, like the I could choose. So the thing I was looking at is this unit here, 352, 352. Does it say the same thing? 914, F914. So yeah, I mean, I feel like, so I could activate 352, and I think that would allow me to go there. Not sure if there's others. There's another 352 right there. So I think that's the idea. There's another 352 there. But you can sort of see it's could lead to some hunting around to do that. So in my laziness, I might just choose stacks. But I think that's how it's intended to work. Yeah, and then, okay, so it's active Kampfgruppen or Tiger battalions only may, in addition, attack 1 hex after all movement is complete. Maximum attack, only 1 for the round. Oh, so maybe it's just a regular attack. I thought it was at half strength, but it's just you can only do 1 attack. Now, I think the movement is also is a normal movement. So it's a normal attack, normal movement, but you only get to do 1. Okay, so maybe I activate 352. Because it'll allow me to reposition a couple of things. Yeah, let's go with the 352, because the 352 is going to, you're probably going to see my dumb head in this, but 352 is here, so they can move 6. Now, moving on the roads, get the terrain effects chart here. Roads, major roads, cuts it in half. K on sun or cloud terms, German units may not use road MP costs. Okay, because they're going to get harried by Allied air or whatever. Okay, but because it's showers, we can definitely do that. So this unit here is activated and can move 6, but because if it moves on a road, it could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It can get up to Bayeux. Yeah, I don't know. Apologies to the French language for everything that's going to happen during this season, this series. They can also cut this way if they want. Looking at it, it feels like there's already, not that there's a ton, well, there's going to be a ton coming in, but Feels like there's more. It's more lopsided here. So I'm gonna have them go there. This is another 352. Let's see. Minor roads, normal points. They could go 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? They're just gonna go there. They're gonna take that. They're gonna defend that town. There's a 352 here. I don't think they're gonna be able to do much. Um, 352 here. Do they pull back or do they go into the town there? Because that's going to give them a little benefit to defense. So let's have them go into the town. That's not a 352, so they're stuck. All right. So that's the German reaction. So now we go to the, oops. Can't picture anything bad happening. These stacks. All right. All right. So yeah, now we've got a first wave, a reaction. Now we're into the second wave. The second wave. Second wave. Allied player now places second wave chit in the third space of the action round. We did that. Each second wave unit has an assigned beach hex as indicated on the map by chevrons, of course. Okay. All second wave units are placed in open beaches or beach approach hexes before any combat takes place. If their assigned beach is open, second wave units are placed there at the start of the round, ignoring stacking restrictions. And up to 4 units may attack any adjacent German units. Okay, so let's get this started. We got a second wave unit here. It makes its way to the beach. That's that. Okay, let's look at here. This beach is not open. So because it's not open, second wave units join the fight. So we've got, so that's actually going to help. Because this one is a 5, so we've got, I think it says up to 4 units can join the attack. So we've got a 6, we've got 9, 15, 18. So we're back up now to a 3-1. So we're looking at a 3-1. Nice, there we go. DE, which is defender eliminated. So boom, this beach is now officially open. Okay. Do they do the same thing though? Okay, so friendly first and second wave units that have landed at an open beach. Okay, so these guys can now attack. These guys had to clear the beach. This second round, gonna land on their beach. They can attack. And I think the units can now move like a second hex, even into a defender's Zoc. So I think what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back here for a sec. Oops. We're gonna hit this strong point. We're gonna start making our way towards Cherbourg. So 1 against like 12. Tight tweezer work there. So again, we're looking at the 6-1, 3 eliminated. Okay, so that one, that's what we're gonna do there. These units are gonna move. probably should know the rules of Zoc a little better, because like, do I keep the beach? Like, by putting it there, I was assuming like this guy couldn't go around, because I think once you enter a Zoc, you're stuck. What I'm going to do is, to reinforce that, I'm going to have these units. That's going to be their advancement into a second hex. Now, again, like I said, I think I need to adjust how I'm standing up, I'm sitting down, and blah blah blah. Standing up helps me see the back of the board. That's why I like to stand up. It's also just more comfortable, but it's also like I need to get this table elevated, because yeah, it's a little tricky. Okay. Like, I almost feel like I need my glasses for distance to see detail on that. So yeah, actually, let me go do that. Okay, so that didn't help. Yeah, so I need to I need to work out. And what I was saying about the chair, the reason the chair isn't ideal is because it's sort of very comfortable and lays back a little bit, but that's not good when you're trying to trying to see across the table. Okay, anyway, let's keep going. They should have landed and then advanced. Okay, so that was that first. They didn't do it right. Okay, so now they hit the beach. Okay. They landed an open beach. They may attack any adjacent German unit. There wasn't an adjacent German unit. So they can advance again, but I think that's all they can do. So let's get them there. These third. Okay, those are third waves. So sword, we've got a second wave. They're going to hit the beach. Now, again, they can attack adjacent units. So they could, we got here. We've got 18. So what they could do is they could hit one of the adjacent strongholds. Do they hit west or east? Let's hit east. I could have split that attack, but of course I didn't know. So we've got an 18 to 1, so it's a 6-1. Or defender eliminated. They're in a city. Let's back that up a little bit. Let's back that up a little bit. Okay, so they're in a city, which is 2 shifts to the left. I don't know if this matters for the strongholds. Let's just say for argument's sake it does. So it's a 6-1. Would have been a 4-1. I rolled a 4. That becomes an exchange. Okay, let's go with that. We're going to exchange one of the infantry. Okay, and I believe that covers the second wave. Now, the Germans get, I believe, a second German reaction. and they can move one stack or one activation, one group. So let's take a look at that. Okay, just a couple quick things. I think for the second wave, I think I had naval units that I could have brought into the fight. And the naval units can hit enemy units anywhere, I think, in front of this line. See, like this little dotted blue line there. So I don't know if those are just lost. I guess I didn't really need them, so to speak. Maybe it would have helped with this one. I could have gotten that back up to a 6-to-1-ish. But I think I'm okay with that. That's definitely something I missed, I think. So the other thing is now any beach that is not open is marked as closed. And I think somewhere around here there should be an open beach hex that I've moved. Oh, no, I didn't place because that took 2 rounds to... So I think I've gotten all the beaches open. I think if I hadn't landed, that's not a beach, that's good, that's good. So technically speaking, at the end of this thing, anything I hadn't taken would have been marked closed, and that's it. That's nothing you can do about that. So after the second wave round is complete, the German player places a reaction chit in the 4th space. We did that. All normal reaction round rules apply. Active units have their full movement allowance and benefit from road movement rates. So the units I think I'm going to activate are... what was it? Hold on one sec. I think it's whatever this is, 91st. Let me... Again. Tight tweezer work. Yeah, 91st. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate 91st. It's them. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Not the 91st. It's whatever this is. 709. Okay. So let's activate 709. And let's get them moving. I want to see, what does town do? It shifts 1 to the left. So I'm trying to decide, like, right here, the unit's on a strong point, which we don't know the strength of it. It could be great. I don't know if it's going to contribute to the defense of that area. Could. This one moved from one strong point to another, so I feel like they've got some help. They're completely surrounded. So I feel like what I want to do is there's certain rules for, like, if you have, like, a unit in your Zoc or something, you have to attack that when you're attacking this. You have to sort of do mandatory attacks. So I could see moving these guys, even though they wouldn't be getting help from being in a town or having a strong point. It could jam up these attacks because they wouldn't have a clean flank, so to speak, to focus their attention. So I think I'm going to do something like that. Again, I should probably review the, mandatory attack rules, but that's the basics. And I probably should review them so I can understand, like, exactly, to nuance my strategy here, but it's not my style. So let's do that. There we go. Okay, so we've got the second wave. Okay, so after the second German reaction round, draw an action chit at random from the action cup and proceed normally. So I think what we need to do now is let's double check the rules for preparing the action cup. It is a shower's turn. So now there's certain rules where, like, on certain turns, the British have to tell the Germans what they're putting in the cup. I don't know if that's modeling some intelligence failures or something, but that is part of it. So we need to build out our action cup. So let's just go to the rules. Preparing the action cup, page 12. Usually I get like a spiral bound, and I was like, let me just but I like being able to have it lay flat when I, flip it over and have it lay flat. This, yeah. Okay, preparing the action cup. At the beginning of the action phase, players consult the action chit availability table. Allied players have initiative throughout the game, except on turn 1. Okay. So I think what we need to do, let's figure out this cup. Brits, it's a shower. They're going to get either 1 move, 2 combat, or 2 move, 1 combat. So they're not going to get a combined action. That's off the table. So they can get 1 move, 2 combat, or 2 move, 1 combat. Let's focus on combat now. Okay. The Americans, 3 move combat. So yeah, the Americans are sort of, they can't use the combined, you know what? What I should be doing is let's keep the British in their own cups so it's easy to get them. The Americans, like this is combat. Combat doesn't matter which side. The Americans, theirs are move or combat. So they sort of have a little bit more flexibility in what they're doing. They're not going to get a combined action. Now, combined action, I think, is what I was thinking of earlier with the waves where like, oh, on a reaction, you move half, attack half or something. That's what a combined action is. So the Brits are going to get 3 move combat. Sorry, the Americans are going to get 3 move combat. Okay. Let's see. The Germans are going to get their 3 move combat. And they're going to get the remaining 2 reactions. Again, we don't put the reactions in the cup. And so let's see what's going to be coming up first, and then we'll go from there, but in the next video. Yeah, so I'm going to close my eyes. You're going to be able to see before I do. What did I draw? British combat. So British combat is where we'll pick it up next time. And there we go. That is the opening invasion, first and second wave of Ted Racier's The Dark Summer. So thanks again to everybody who jumps in and checks this out. Like I said, I'm still trying to work out the kinks, but at least as a starting point, I feel like I've got a better, it's definitely headed in the right direction where I'm hopefully able to spend some more time doing this. Even if it's not recording it, my hope is to spend some more time playing war games, but because of my particular set of neuroses, recording it sometimes helps me get stuff done for different reasons. So anyway, thanks again for checking this stuff out. Again, my hope is to get this up on a quasi-regular basis. I'm not promising any specific timeline like I do with our other RPG channel, Black Lodge Trivia Night. If you like RPGs, go check that stuff out. But there we try and have a very particular release schedule. This one, I can't promise anything, but I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit more regular than once or twice a year. So thanks again. Take care. Bye-bye.